Welcome to Behind the Glass Mixing Live Worship. My name is David Glenn, and I've been blessed to mix multiple multi-platinum records from artists like Redimidos, Dr. Toomey, Blanca, Jeremy Rosado, and many more. I'm pumped to bring you this exclusive behind-the-scenes course for free right here on YouTube. In this series, we're diving deep into mixing live worship from the raw tracks to a polished, powerful mix that translates well in churches, streaming platforms, and beyond. All of the videos from the course will be made available here on the channel, and then if you want to get your hands on the multi-tracks to follow along, my exact mix template available for most modern DAWs, my custom drum samples, multiple more mix breakdowns like the one you're about to watch, and on and on. I'll post a link in the description where you can get instant access to all of that, as well as some free guides to help steer you in the right direction with your mixing journey. Lastly, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single video in this free series. With that, let's dive in and start mixing. All right, let's talk about the lead vocal. So this is one where I've had a couple projects the last couple of months where I just, you get tired of doing the same thing over and over again. And so I tried just stacking plugins and getting to, dialing in a sound for her, and ended up going with it. I still prefer my other method better, which I broke down in the template overview, where you have the lead vocal, treat it with some EQ, some compression, de-essing maybe at the beginning of the chain. Then it goes to a vocal crush. You can see that over here. The vocal crush, where I slam it with compression, sometimes one compressor really hard, sometimes several compressors really hard, and that gets blended in with the original. And then the lead vocal and that compression, that vocal crush, blend and go to the lead vocal level, where I'll hit it with more EQ, sometimes soothe, sometimes something like this, or a CLA vocals. You never know what some of those plugins may give you. Sometimes more compression, and then de-essing, what have you. But then that's the channel that goes to my effects. And then the benefit of this, I'll mix the high point of the song first. So I'll go to the loudest section and mix the vocal so it competes with all the loudest elements in the song. The drums are slamming, guitars are, raging, everything's loud, and the vocals got to compete. And so I'll mix that heavy vocal compression, get that sounding good, and then work backwards from there. I'll go to the verses and then determine, what do I need from the verse? Do I need it to be less compressed? Piece of cake. All I have to do is then go grab the vocal crush for that section and pull that down for the verses, and you're pretty much going to be in the ballpark. So a little more open or dynamic, a little more natural sounding in the verses or any of those softer sections, but then chorus comes along, we're right back to full-on compression. So I like that method. That's my go-to, but I'm going to show you what we did on this one. I just started stacking plugins and getting the sound, and I think it turned out good. But I'll let you guys be the judge. We're going to go ahead and start with the very first one, which is just a high-pass filter compressing against the lowest of lows to prevent pops, the low-end Ps and things like that from it hits a transducer, too much wind hitting it, and it causes that. And so compressing against that with this low band here and a low shelf. And then I dipped out some of her 400 hertz a bit. And we'll go ahead and I think we can probably start with, so like here's her live vocal with no processing. Let's go ahead and solo it, and we'll walk through so you can really hear what each plugin's doing, and then we'll come back and play it in context.
There's resurrection power right here, it's breaking out.
So you can hear right there, breaking out. You heard it a few times in that phrase, but
right here, it's breaking out.
Breaking out, causing all kinds of low-end issues. So if we put this on,
breaking out, 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 breaking out.
So we cleaned her up nicely with this one. Moving on, we've got the clarity. I did put the high pass filter before clarity. I feel like that can help it to not have to work so hard. It's not even listening for that low end energy. And so I haven't actually tested that. It's just in my mind. It sounds like it makes sense. So we've shown this off Clarity VX Pro, and we're pulling out, like 32% or so.
Breaking out, breaking out, breaking.
Let's not loop her for this example.
Right here, it's breaking out. Let dead things come to life. Let dry bones come alive. The one who empties graves is
Yeah, so, I mean, what is that giving us? 15, 20%? But I'll take it, man. Free 15, 20% isolation. It's an improvement, especially as we're about to hit it with a ton of compression. So next up, you know what? That's an important note. I don't know that they're hitting this with compression. It looks like there might be some compression from the board, from their outboard gear or something. It certainly doesn't look super compressed, but it doesn't look as dynamic as most things that I receive. So I'm not sure exactly what they're doing, but how much compression you use on, different projects will depend on were they compressed or not to tape. So moving on, let's check out. I've got the 1176 Rev A go-to. It's a favorite of mine. I love this thing. And you can see not the slowest of attack, and not the fastest of release for this first one, but we're hitting it pretty good. Let's turn that on and hear it.
Right here, it's breaking out. Let dead things come to life. Let dry bones come alive. The one who empties graves.
So pretty dynamic without it. Gripping on it, we get a little bit more spitty. So we're getting the S's are coming through. We got like an upper mid-range bump, I want to say, from this. But I love this compressor, and we're hitting it pretty hard, just starting to grip on her here. Next up, we've got the tuning, and we talked about this a ton. I think we've also got, so Melodyne's still on. So we got some Melodyne into this tuning, and we walked through the whole settings in that video. Go check it out. But we've got this set so that Metatune is leaving her vibrato alone. We're letting her have her natural vibrato, and then we're hitting it with a fast retune speed, but using a lower percentage. We're not giving it the T-Pain effect. We're backing it off. We got about 60% there for the tuning. So we won't spend too much time on that. Next up, a plugin I've used quite a bit over the last probably 6 months is STL Tones Control Hub. And what an incredible way to get results fast, get them quickly. A lot of my students in the Mix Academy and the VIP membership, they are fans of this, but as most of them are aspiring engineers, up and coming, maybe been at this for a little bit, but some of them new, some of them maybe have a few years experience. Their concern, many of them have addressed that, but I want to know what's going on behind the scenes. I want to learn how to get that sound and what's going into it and not just rely on the plugin. To that I say, it's just a tool. I completely understand wanting to know, what that tape is doing, what the 1176 settings are, that kind of thing, but we cover it all the time. And so if you wanted to get, similar sounds, it's definitely easy to recreate it. Another thing, there's a Waves plugin. What was the one I did? I think it was an Andrew Sheps plugin, and they came out with it, pushed it as some big deal, and it was really good. I forget what the name of the plugin is, but I did a video featuring the plugin, and then I featured only stock plugins recreating the exact sound, and the two results were practically identical. And so, yes, you get a plugin like this, you can get a great sound, but you can also use the basic tools and get that as well. My argument would be something like a CLA Effects, CLA Vocals, CLA Unplugged. Those you have so many tone shaping options, and you can get a result quickly without having to stack multiple plugins. You get all of those effects within one window. Here, let me load in case you guys haven't seen before. Here's like the CLA Vocals. And so you can shape the EQ, slam with compression, put a little bit of reverb, typically use just a hint of that, slap delay, I love it. And then you can get that spreader, stereo chorus kind of thing happening. So you get a bunch of effects within one window, one plugin. And I like that. Quick wins. And I use this on background vocals. Sometimes I use it on a lead vocal. Sometimes I use it on like harmonies, things like that. But anyways, I'm a big fan of STL Control Hub, and we're using it here. So let's hear the difference with it on, and then we'll turn it off.
Right here, it's breaking out. Let dead things come to life. Let dry bones come alive. The one who empties graves is here to do the same. Let dead things come to life.
Yeah, so we're certainly cleaning up the low mids on this one. There seems to be like a notch EQ, cleaning it up. We've obviously got some more compression and a little bit of tone, a little bit of saturation, but it's nothing that's like, you gotta have this plugin to recreate that. I dig it. I like it. There are some presets within here. Man, Neil Avron, there's one of his bass presets that are it's just nasty. But yeah, anyways, there's that STL control hub. We're adding some color, some compression, and that's about it. Moving on, we've got a Pro Q, and I felt like I was missing some of the fullness of her voice. So I came in here and kind of pulled up just a little bit. It ultimately wasn't super happy with it, so I didn't do anything dramatic here. But this was an EQ that it looks like I'm thinking, like, what do I need to make this vocal sound better? And I didn't do ultimately too much. I was thinking about, do I need to cut some of the upper mids? Do I need to do this? And then ended up moving on from it. But nothing really massive here, just almost a dB at 300 hertz, adding some fullness back to her voice, which we eventually fixed with, we'll get to that, max bass. That was my first time ever using max bass on a vocal. The Lindell, love that one. Simple, turn it on, it works. We're moving on. I'll go and I'll highlight a section when I'm setting a de-esser and loop a section where there's multiple S's or sibilance issues in like one phrase. And so you can just kind of dial in the de-esser and just loop it a few times. And then before you know it, you get this dialed in. Often with the Lindell, I'm just leaving it on the default settings. With the FabFilter Pro DS or multiband whatever else, I'm dialing it in and tweaking and turning knobs. This one just seems to work on the default settings, and so it's been my go-to. You can see that all across this mix. One thing to note, there was a glitch when I first started using it, and the noise, I couldn't get to the hamburger menu, so I had to uninstall it, reinstall it, and then it worked. But you come here to the hamburger menu, you can see the noise is on. We want to turn that off. And I'm pretty sure I did for all the rest of these. Oh, see, that noise is on. And you know what? Let's also come in here and do noise off and set in all instances. I set that as a default, but that was after this session. So noise off, there we go. If you let that noise accumulate across 4, 5, 10 different plugins, especially I have a background vocal, what was I going to say? Gospel session with a ton of BGVs. And I think it had like 16 to 20 instances of the Lindell, de-essing them individually. And all that noise created a nasty hiss on the track. And so thankfully, uninstalling and reinstalling, I was able to get that and turn it all off. But that will accumulate quickly if you have multiple stacks of vocals that you're de-essing. So that's on her. Moving on to the Pro Q3. Compressing up against this upper band here. That's a pretty common thing, is the compressor's reacting maybe more to the lows and coming up to like 1K. And so I'll often multi-band the top end so that I can get some extra compression whenever things go into this range here, to make sure it stays even, to get an even amount of compression throughout the vocal, which I'm sure our next plugin is also going to address. But felt like at this stage I needed a little bit more to clamp on her up there around 3 to 5K, make sure it stayed smooth. And you can see here we're cutting out some of this mid-range 360 and 650 and boosting a little bit at 1.6 to pull her forward. So that sounds like this.
Right here, it's breaking out. Let dead things come to life. Let dry bones come alive. The one who empties graves is here.
That would be a good section right there to play it, because she goes up the register.
The one who empties graves. The one who empties graves.
Graves, so the one jumps out and Graves jumps out, and so having this on helps lock it in a little bit better. And then when we move on here, we've got more multi-band, so now we're really like, okay, we got to pull her forward in the 1K range, 2K range, but I want to compress against it to really just even her out across the multiple bands. A lot of guys use the Waves C6 for the same kind of thing. I'm just using a couple different plugins to accomplish what the Waves C6 would do. And so here's with this on. Let's actually play a little more than just that phrase.
Let dry bones come alive. The one who empties graves is here to do the same. Let dead things come to life. Let dry bones come. Sing, come alive. Come alive. Come alive. Let dead things come to life.
So it's not super obvious, but we're kind of pulling her forward a little bit more. It's a little bit scooped beforehand, and then with that on, helps us out. So next up, and you're going to hear a big difference with the effects once we stack those, but the max bass, I don't remember where I saw this. Might have been like Chris Greeley might have had this on a vocal on an Instagram post or something, and I was like, ooh, that's interesting. I'm going to try that. And I've got a singer I work with, Dr. Toomey, who I typically thin his voice out, and then I'm always doing something R bass or something to get some lower harmonics, the kind of low end, low mid stuff back in his voice to give him some oomph again. And Max Bass it's amazing. It sounded really good. You got to be careful with it. But I went to the Dave Pensado vocal preset and then just dialed in the Max Bass, kind of played with it back and forth, and I really liked it. So in solo, I do not care for it. But in the mix, when you need it to fill out and the vocal to have some more weight, once you've compressed against it and EQ'd out lows and low mids, and it's feeling a little thin, this is a great way to add back those harmonics and give you the impression of a fuller vocal without using EQ. So it's kind of, I don't know how to explain that. You take it out with EQ, you might be thinking, well, wouldn't you just go in and maybe EQ less in that range? But this is synthetically creating those low mids and in a way that sounds more pleasing to me than coming back in and EQing less out, if that makes sense. So be the judge for yourself, test it, play around with it, but let's hear it in solo. We'll have it on and then we'll take it off, and you should feel a decent difference here.
I'm ready, gotta see you move. There's resurrection power right here, it's breaking out. Let dead things come to life. Let dry bones come alive. The one who empties graves is here to do the same. Let dead things come to life.
I'll tell you what, maybe even in the verse, it would be a bigger difference.
Come on, church, just let your faith rise today. Sing it out. What is buried, you can raise again.
Love it.
What is lifeless, you'll breathe alive with it. And what seems over to you, it's not the end. There's nothing that you cannot do.
So, it gives you a little 10, 15% of a bump in those low mids that I think warms the vocal up and fills it out nicely. Obviously, in solo, that sounds a little weird, but you can tell it goes from kind of thin. It's like, man, can we get a little more fullness from the voice? And then this definitely serves that purpose. So I would say tread lightly with this one. Be careful, but you can see we're not crushing it and adding a ton of low mids. You know what? For example's sake, let's do that. Let's boost in solo.
What is buried, you can raise again. What is lifeless, you'll breathe alive with it. And what seems over to you, it's not the end. There's not.
So yeah, that to me sounds really good. And so blending some of that back in to add some fullness after we've filtered and compressed and EQ'd out the lows and the low mids to make it sound more modern, and then it's like, dang it, man, we need a little bit of that back. This could be a lifesaver. So now let's check it in context with the mix. Let's go take and put the acoustics back in, and I had the bass muted because they're frozen. And then let's, you know what? No, let's not do that first. Let's go through the effects first, and then we'll come back and show you that. So, vocal effects. I've got a couple of go-tos. The Cooper Dimension, I call it, is the, what is that? It's the Cooper Time Cube from Universal Audio, except nowadays I'm using Slate Digital includes Repeater, and I've got the Koopy Cube emulation. The only thing that's really important is a 5 millisecond on the left, 20.3 milliseconds on the right. And that delay time is going to give you the Haas effect, which is going to create a really sweet stereo imaging effect. It's not super wide, like a stereo Dimension D kind of thing, but it kind of takes a vocal from being dry, mono, right down the middle, and just expands it across the center. So it gives you a little bit of left and right, kind of just expands the vocal a bit. You'll know exactly what I'm saying here whenever I unmute it and play it for you. So let's take it out. And then we'll lift it up, and let's do it in solo so you can just hear the effect.
What is buried, you can raise again. What is lifeless, you'll breathe alive with it. And what seems over to you, it's not the end. There's nothing that you cannot do. I'm ready.
Pretty sweet. And so you go from just that dry mono vocal right down the middle to something that sits a little more chesty, kind of expands it, sounds more polished, more modern. And so that is the Cooper Dimension, what I call, and it's the Coopy Cube. You can go to the Cooper Time Cube if you have the UAD version, and it's the Vocal Dimension preset. Otherwise, you saw my repeater settings right there, 5 milliseconds on the left, 20.3 on the right, and you'll get that exact same kind of thing. So, Sunset Chamber, first reverb, just trying to put her in a space and make her not sound dry.
What is buried, you can raise again. What is a...
So, great reverb sound. And again, that's simplicity.com. You can download the IRs, and that is the Sunset Chamber. I'll come down here and I'll show you there it is, Sunset Chamber. Let's pull that up. I've got an EQ in front of it, pulling out 3 to 5K, making sure that nothing gets harsh that I send into the verb, stays fairly warm. And then I'm using the Verb Suite Classics to get it. But again, it's the exact same thing. It says here, powered by Liquid Sonics. Their versions, but they might even be the same IRs, man. Who knows? But FG-BM7, if you have Slate's Verb Suite Classics, FG-BM7, Chambers 1, Sunset Chamber, and I've got this dialed in with a longer decay, 2.5, and no pre-delay or anything on this one, just straight up, pulling off some highs, maybe backing off the mids and lows a little bit, but just want this to be warmer. I don't like bright reverbs often. It have to be like a specialized sound that I'm going for if I'm putting too much top end in a verb. Kind of like the snare, gated snare verb, kind of emulating that Bethel sound. Something like that I may add top end to a verb, but it's rare. Next up, we have the CFZ verb. This is something I created custom for them, and it's the spacious vocal preset on Vintage Verb from Valhalla. You can see, again, another 2.5 seconds. I did have some pre-delay in this one. I think that was just built in from the template. And I just wanted to try to create a space for her, get some ambience. I was testing different reverbs, and I thought this one sounded really good. Again, just kind of pulling back 2K to make sure nothing gets too crazy. I will often throw a de-esser on the reverb channels before the reverb. That way S's don't even hit the verb. But we controlled her S's pretty good, so there was nothing crazy spilling out. But if you have a sibilant vocalist, definitely consider throwing a de-esser in front of the reverb so that the verb doesn't ever hear it. If you put it after, the de-esser will have to work harder to cut out the S, but if you put it before, the verb's not even going to hear it to react to it. So pretty cool stuff there. Let's hear it in action. This is again, the spacious vocal preset. Those are the settings. Here's with it in.
What is buried, you can raise again. What is lifeless, you'll breathe alive with it. And what seems over to you, it's not the end. There's nothing that you cannot do. I'm ready, gotta see you move.
And again, this EQ is important. If we turn that back on, check this out.
What is buried, you can raise again. What is lifeless, you'll breathe alive with it.
Without it, the reverb, the vocal overtakes the reverb, and that mid-range comes forward, and it just clashes and makes it messy. And so, not like the footballer, like the nasty tone of things kind of stacking on top of each other, and I don't dig that. So great way to clean up your reverbs. A lot of people, they'll do the Abbey Road thing. I love it. Come here and kind of 5-6K, something like that. High pass with 6 dB per octave slope to 400, 500, 600, and then you're just getting kind of the mid-range. But on this one, I just chose to cut out kind of 2K there, the forwardness of the vocal. And I'm pulling out, 5 dB, and that was enough to smooth it out and make sure the reverb did not overtake the lead vocal. Next up, our second to last plugin in the mix breakdown here, the fake live delay. And this is me chasing the sound of, making it sound like the vocal is, you're getting that, and some of you will know exactly what I mean. You hear the kick drum hit on the record, but then you hear the kind of ricochet, the reflections from the room. And so this is me trying to emulate that and make it sound like that delay is actually the PA system being captured with the crowd mics. So let's take a listen to that. Fake live delay. And where did I place this? Is right here. So I'm using the Valhalla delay. Can you tell I like their stuff? Man, their stuff is not expensive. It's incredibly affordable and it sounds amazing. I love their stuff. And you can tell I'm using a ton of it. So here's that. I've also got an EQ, again, trying to make sure it doesn't get bright or weird. And then for some reason, I threw the spreader. Never done that before, but I was just trying to build effects. I don't even know how to explain what I'm doing here. I'm not actually using a whole lot of this in the mix, so let's see what's going on here.
What is buried, you can raise again. What?
Yeah, I mean, you know.
What is buried, you can raise again. What is lifeless, you'll breathe life with it. And what seems over to you, it's not the end. There's nothing that you cannot do. I'm ready, gotta see you move it. What is buried, you can raise again.
So a little bit can go a long way. With all these turned on, we'll turn them on and turn them off. But I can tell how I was chasing something, maybe didn't love it, but didn't hate it. Just kind of left it in there. So moving on, let's check out the warm verb. This is right here. Again, a new effect. I really like to create new sounds. And so with new projects, I'm often creating new verbs, new delays. These are brand new. I've never used either of those before. This one is the SP Amazing Vocal. I have used this preset. This is my DG Mod Verb preset. And then I've tweaked it, maybe increased the decay or something. But this one sounded really good. I'm just trying to get more space for her vocal.
What is buried, you can raise again. What is lifeless, you'll breathe life with it. And what seems over to you, it's not the...
So this one has a nice upper mid-range quality that's not harsh. And so dig that. Blended quite a bit of that in the mix. Let's hear the vocal with all the effects in solo. And then I'll turn them all off. You can hear how much of a difference it makes from just a clean vocal, dry down the middle, to really making it sound modern. And then what we'll do is we'll take it out of solo, and you can hear the difference dry and with the effects on in the context of the mix.
What is buried, you can raise again. What is lifeless, you'll breathe life with it. And what seems over to you, it's not the end. There's nothing that you cannot do. I'm ready, gotta see you move. Hey, there's resurrection power right here, it's breaking.
So pretty substantial difference there. Let's check it in the context of the mix. We'll go through and get our acoustic. It's not really in the mix very much, but we'll unmute that in the bass. And then let's come in here. This is with the effects, and then I'll turn it off.
What is buried, you can raise again. What is lifeless, you'll breathe life with it. And what seems over to you, it's not the end. There's nothing that you cannot do. I'm ready, gotta see you move. Hey, there's resurrection power right here, it's breaking out. Let things come to life. Let dry bones come alive. The one who empties graves is here to do the same. Let dead things come to life. Let dry bones come. Sing, come alive, come alive, come alive. Let dead things come to life.
Played quite a bit of it there for you, but I wanted to give you a good kind of listen several times so you can hear just how much those effects take it to another level. And so even though we're kind of chasing our tail and trying to find something here with multiple verbs and just stacks and sounds really nice. So the biggest thing I would say is the Cooper Dimension, and then find you a good reverb or two. Funny enough, I didn't use any delay. I love delay. I usually go to delay first before reverb, but I was in a reverb mood trying to find a space for her, and I ended up not going back and putting any delay on it. A couple of delays I do like, go figure. The Valhalla delay, I did use it here, but there's some really good ducking presets in here. So if you go to echoes and ducking, if you're not familiar with that, basically while the lead vocalist is singing, the delay will be ducked or turned down, compressed even. I don't think it's actual compression they're using, but the delay won't be muddy or messy in the mix. And then at the end of the phrase, when the vocalist stops singing, the delay will kind of come in and trail out. And so you get a nice clean delay without muddying up the lyrics. So I love the Valhalla ducking delay presets. Those are all really cool. Definitely check those out. Okay, moving on. The vocal goes to the all vocals bus, and that's here. And you can see, let's see how the gain staging.
What is buried, you can raise again. What is lifeless, you'll breathe life within. Not an empty tomb, 'cause Jesus, you're the living proof. There's nothing that you cannot do. Already gotta see you move. There's resurrection power right here, it's breaking out.
I don't mind the background vocals now. It sounds pretty good. So the lead vocal, I like to get hitting around 0 or so, and then I'm not mad if it's hitting hard on a rock song or something where I'm getting some extra saturation from this. You just got to watch out, because if you push it too hard, forget the red light, use your ears, but you push this too hard, if that red light is just pegged, you could start to hear some kind of nasty high-end distortion that is not pleasant to the ear. And so you got to be careful with the VMR. Waves NLS, the same thing. You hit it too hard, you're going to get that kind of breakup that doesn't sound good. So that's that, man. Lead vocals, background vocals, pretty straightforward here. Again, I don't like maxing out one plug-in chain. What happens if I needed one more, right? If I heard something and I wanted to compress or EQ against just like the low mids or something, I'm out of options. I'd have to bust this in. And so I do prefer my template setup here, but it was fun to break away from the norm and just kind of use my ears and try new plugins and do some new things. But that's exactly what I did. You guys can hear that for yourselves. Copy it, use it for your own mixes, tweak it to your taste, and hopefully you dig that. So we have another video. We're going to take a look at the mix bus. We're going to talk about setting the mix bus compression, dialing in the parallel compression, which could be huge for a lot of you guys. I listen to a lot of live stream mixes. I've been in the production online group doing a bunch of mix critiques and live stream critiques, listening to churches' live streams. And one of the biggest things that I'm hearing, and this is not just in the church world, the worship world, is when you don't mix through loudness processing, you're guessing on what it's going to sound like once it gets mastered. And so I'm a huge fan of mixing through, being aggressive, mixing through compression, getting the loudness, getting your final limiter, clipping into limiting, or whatever you want to do to get that final loudness. And we'll talk about how I've done it here. But that's going to help you hear close to a finished result, if not already help you deliver a finished result and start to mix with the end in mind rather than relying on mastering. It doesn't mean you can't still send to mastering. If I wanted to send this off to mastering, I'm kind of going into the next video now, but I could just turn off the final limiter. I would keep my parallel compression, but I would come in here and I would dial this back and send the mastering engineer that. As long as it's not clipping, and even so, I send a 32-bit file to mastering, so if it was clipping, he could just pull it down himself. So that being said, that's one of the biggest things that I notice is a lot of you are making decisions only listening to the mix, and the mix is not what's getting released. The final master is. And so to learn how to compress, parallel compress, limit, clipping into limiting, all those tools, and then using them to your advantage for the sound that you're after, I think is going to help you make better decisions with balances, with EQ, with all of that stuff. So with that being said, let's dive into the next video. We'll look at that, and then we'll wrap this one up. Thanks for hanging with me. Drop comments if you have them, and I'll see you in the next video.